Australia's sunscreen scandal is growing tonight, with more brands pulled from the shelves over SPF concerns.
The FDA published a study. 6 of the most common chemical sunscreen ingredients were absorbed into the bloodstream above the FDA's own proposed safety threshold after a single application. Not a fringe study, not an activist organization. The FDA's own research. That was 2020. Congress set a deadline for regulatory action. The FDA missed it. The brands kept selling. I investigated 10 of the biggest U.S. sunscreen brands. 7 are on the avoid list. 3 actually pass. We start with the worst one first. Here are avoid brands 1 and 2, clean and copyable. Avoid brand 1, Neutrogena. It is the sunscreen your dermatologist recommended, the one in the yellow bottle at every drugstore checkout. For decades, Neutrogena has been the default answer to the question of which sunscreen to use. It felt like the responsible choice backed by medical credibility. Neutrogena built that trust through decades of dermatologist partnerships. Johnson & Johnson, Neutrogena's parent company, invested heavily in making Neutrogena synonymous with skin science. Recommended by dermatologists became the brand's foundational claim. Women bought it because a doctor said to. In 2021, independent laboratory Valisure found benzene in Neutrogena aerosol sunscreen products. Johnson & Johnson issued a massive recall. A class action lawsuit alleged deceptive advertising by failing to warn consumers about unsafe benzene levels. Johnson & Johnson agreed to settle for $1.75 million. Beyond benzene, the FDA's own 2020 study found that oxybenzone and homosalate, both present in Neutrogena's chemical filter lines, absorb into the bloodstream above the agency's proposed safety threshold after a single application. Looks like the dermatologist-approved gold standard. Reads like a benzene recall, a class action settlement, and chemical filters the FDA flagged in its own published research. Neutrogena is owned by Johnson & Johnson, which also owns hair relaxer brands currently named in uterine cancer litigation. The sub-brand's credibility and the parent company's litigation record are 2 different things. For the woman who chose Neutrogena because her dermatologist recommended it, and that felt like the safest credential possible, this is what you actually bought. Benzene in the recalled aerosols. Hormone-disrupting chemical filters in the rest of the range. Neutrogena Pure and Free Baby Mineral Sunscreen uses zinc oxide and titanium dioxide only. No oxybenzone. No benzene recall. The one product in their range this investigation can recommend. Dermatologist recommended. Benzene recalled. The credential was real. The formula was not. The next brand is the one from every childhood beach trip. The orange bottle, the coconut smell, and a class action over the same carcinogen. Avoid brand 2, Banana Boat. The orange bottle, the coconut smell. Banana Boat is the sunscreen of American childhoods, the one your parents applied before you ran into the waves. It is not a prestige brand. It is a memory, and memories do not come with ingredient lists. Banana Boat built its trust on ubiquity and nostalgia. The brand has been in American households since 1978. You did not choose it consciously. It was simply always there. That familiarity became trust without anyone asking for proof. In 2021, Valishure's independent lab testing found benzene in Banana Boat products. Edgewell Personal Care faced class action lawsuits from consumers who developed blood cancers following regular use of the aerosol sunscreens. Aerosol products were recalled. Beyond benzene, Banana Boat's standard chemical filter lines contain oxybenzone and homosalate. The National Toxicology Program linked oxybenzone exposure to higher rates of thyroid tumors in female rats. The EU Scientific Committee concluded oxybenzone is not safe at current use levels and restricted its permitted concentration. The US has not followed. Looks like the safe, affordable family sunscreen you have always used. Reads like benzene in the recalled aerosols and hormone-disrupting filters in everything else. Banana Boat is owned by Edgewell Personal Care, the same parent company as Hawaiian Tropic, which also uses oxybenzone across its standard product range. For the parent who grabbed Banana Boat for their family because familiar felt safe, this is what you actually bought. Benzene in the aerosols. Oxybenzone linked to thyroid tumors in government testing. No warning on the label. Banana Boat. Simply Protect Mineral Sunscreen uses zinc oxide as its only active filter. No oxybenzone. a cleaner option within a brand that is available everywhere. Childhood memory, adult carcinogen. The nostalgia was real. The safety was never verified. If someone you know is still reaching for the orange bottle every summer, subscribe before the next section. The next brand settled a class action for $2.3 million over the same ingredient. Avoid brand 3. Coppertone. It is the brand with the little girl and the dog on the bottle. Coppertone has been on American shelves since 1953. That kind of longevity becomes its own form of proof. If it had been dangerous, surely someone would have stopped it by now. Coppertone built its trust on decades of uninterrupted presence. The iconic logo, the summer campaigns, the sense that this brand had simply always been part of responsible sun protection in America. Nobody questioned it. It was just there. In 2022, Coppertone settled a class action lawsuit for $2.3 million. Plaintiffs alleged false advertising by failing to disclose unsafe levels of benzene in their products. Beyond benzene, Coppertone's standard chemical filter lines contain oxybenzone and homosalate. The EU Scientific Committee concluded in 2021 that both are not safe at current use levels. The EU restricted them, the US did not. Looks like 70 years of trusted American sun protection. Reads like a $2.3 million benzene settlement and hormone-disrupting filters above EU safety limits. Coppertone is owned by Beiersdorf, a German multinational. The American heritage story and the conglomerate ownership are two different things. Formulation decisions are made at the parent company level. For the woman who used Coppertone her entire life because 70 years on shelves felt like proof of safety, this is what you actually bought. Benzene in the tested products. A settlement. Oxybenzone, above the concentration the EU permits. Coppertone Pure and Simple Mineral Sunscreen uses zinc oxide only. No chemical filters. Available at major drugstores and significantly cheaper than specialty mineral brands. 7 decades of trust. One class action settlement. The longevity was real. The safety record was not. The next brand built its identity on gentleness and sensitive skin. Its parent company recalled its sunscreen aerosols for the same benzene contamination found across this list. Avoid brand 4. Aveeno. It is the sunscreen the sensitive skin community trusts. The one with colloidal oatmeal on the label. The one dermatologists recommend for reactive skin, babies, and anyone who breaks out from everything else. Aveeno is the gentle option. That is its entire identity. Aveeno built its reputation on oat science and clinical gentleness. Dermatologists recommended it specifically for people who cannot tolerate standard formulas. The oat positioning was not cosmetic. It was a medical differentiator. Women with reactive skin trusted Aveeno because it was supposed to be different. Johnson & Johnson recalled Aveeno aerosol spray sunscreen products in 2021 for benzene contamination, alongside the simultaneous Neutrogena recall. The class action settlement included up to $1.75 million in vouchers. Beyond the recall, Aveeno Protect and Hydrate Daily Sunscreen contains avobenzone, homosalate, octosalate, and octocrylene. All 4 are among the 6 chemical filters the FDA's own study found absorbing into the bloodstream above safety thresholds after a single application. Looks like the gentle, sensitive skin sunscreen that finally would not cause a reaction. Reads like 4 chemical filters the FDA flagged and a benzene recall on the aerosol range. Read the first 5 ingredients: water, homosalate, glycerin, octosalate, octocrylene. 3 of the first 5 active filters are among those the FDA found in blood above safety thresholds. For the person with reactive skin who chose Aveeno, because gentle was the promise and oat science felt like proof, this is what you actually bought. Chemical filters absorbed into your bloodstream above FDA safety thresholds. From the sensitive skin brand. Aveeno Baby. Continuous Protection Mineral Sunscreen uses zinc oxide only. Pediatrician recommended and consistently rated better by EWG than the adult chemical filter lines. Gentle branding. Chemical filter deck flagged by the FDA. The oat science was real, the rest was not. Subscribe before the next section. The next brand built its image on surf culture and environmental credibility. Then, California filed a legal action against them for misleading reef-safe claims. Avoid brand 5. Sunbum. It is the sunscreen on the surf shop counter. The blonde wood display, the retro banana mascot, the coconut-scented lotion that makes applying SPF feel like a lifestyle choice. Sunbum built an identity around beach culture, environmental awareness, and doing right by the ocean. Sunbum launched in 2010 targeting the beach and outdoor community. The brand positioned itself as the more conscious alternative to legacy drugstore brands. Reef-friendly claims. Vegan formulas. People chose Sunbum because it felt like the ethical option on the sunscreen shelf. Valisher's 2021 independent testing found benzene in Sunbum products. Beyond benzene, Sunbum's standard SPF lines contain avobenzone, homosalate, and octosalate. All three are among the chemical filters the FDA found absorbed into the bloodstream above safety thresholds. In 2025, California filed a legal action against Sunbum over misleading reef-safe claims, noting that reef-safe labeling in the US is entirely unregulated. Any brand can print it on any bottle. Looks like the environmentally conscious choice from a brand that cares about the ocean. Reads like benzene in tested products, hormone-disrupting filters, and a California legal action over the reef-safe claim. Sunbum is owned by Edgewell Personal Care, the same parent company as Banana Boat and Hawaiian Tropic. 3 brands. 1 parent company, the same chemical filter playbook across all 3. For the eco-conscious buyer who chose Sunbum because reef-safe branding felt like proof of a higher standard, this is what you actually bought. Chemical filters flagged by the FDA. Benzene in tested products. A reef-safe claim. California said was misleading. Sunbum Mineral Sunscreen. SPF 50 uses zinc oxide as its only active filter. A fragrance-free option is available. The only version worth keeping. Environmental branding. Chemical filters inside. The lifestyle was real. The safety claim was not. The next brand charges a premium on an Australian heritage story. The ingredient it built its reputation on is banned in Hawaii. Avoid brand 6, Australian Gold. It is the brand that sounds like it earned its sun protection credentials from the most UV-intense continent on Earth. The golden packaging, the bronzer positioning, the implicit claim that Australians know sun better than anyone. Australian Gold sits at the premium end of the tanning sunscreen category. Australian Gold launched in 1987, leaning on Australian sun culture as its credibility foundation. Professional-grade sun care. Bronzing technology. The kind of product that felt like it came from somewhere that had figured out UV protection the hard way. Australian Gold's flagship sunscreen. Sprays and lotions contain oxybenzone. EWG rates oxybenzone as the single most concerning chemical sunscreen ingredient for hormone disruption. The CDC detects oxybenzone in the blood and urine of nearly every American. The National Toxicology Program linked oxybenzone exposure to higher rates of thyroid tumors in female rats. The EU restricted oxybenzone to a maximum of 2.2%. Australian Gold sells it at concentrations permitted under US regulation, which are higher. Hawaii banned oxybenzone entirely under the Reef Act of 2021. Looks like premium sun expertise from the continent that takes UV radiation most seriously. Reads like oxybenzone above EU safety limits, flagged by the CDC, linked to thyroid tumors in government research. Australia banned oxybenzone in certain product types. The brand named after Australia uses an ingredient Australia itself restricts. For the woman who paid more for Australian Gold because the heritage positioning signaled a higher standard, this is what you actually bought. Oxybenzone, above EU limits, in the premium product. Australian Gold Botanical Mineral Sunscreen uses zinc oxide and titanium dioxide only. No oxybenzone, a genuine alternative within the brand. Premium Australian positioning. EU restricted oxybenzone inside. The heritage story was real. The ingredient standard was not. The next brand is named after a state that banned its hero ingredient and still sells that ingredient in every standard product it makes. Avoid brand 7, Hawaiian Tropic. It is the sunscreen that smells like a holiday before you leave the house. The coconut fragrance, the tropical packaging. Hawaiian Tropic does not just sell sun protection. It sells the feeling of being somewhere warm and beautiful. The sensory experience is the entire brand proposition. Hawaiian Tropic launched in 1969 and built its reputation on that sensory identity. The fragrance, the bronzing oils, the vacation in a bottle positioning. Women chose it not because a dermatologist recommended it, but because it smelled like somewhere they wanted to be. That emotional connection became loyalty that never asked questions. Hawaiian Tropic is owned by Edgewell Personal Care, the same parent company as Banana Boat, which recalled its aerosol sunscreens for benzene contamination. Hawaiian Tropic's standard SPF lines contain oxybenzone. Hawaii banned oxybenzone under the Reef Act of 2021 for its documented harm to coral reefs and hormone-disrupting properties in humans. The brand, named after Hawaii, sells an ingredient the state of Hawaii banned, looks like a tropical escape in a bottle, reads like oxybenzone, banned in the state that inspired the brand name. Read the active ingredients on Hawaiian Tropic Silk Hydration Sunscreen: avobenzone, homosalate, octosalate, octocrylene, oxybenzone. All 5 are among the chemical filters the FDA found absorbing into the bloodstream above safety thresholds after a single application. For the woman who chose Hawaiian Tropic, because the fragrance felt like self-care and the tropical branding felt harmless, this is what you actually bought. Oxybenzone, banned in Hawaii, in the sunscreen named after Hawaii. Hawaiian Tropic Silk Hydration, weightless mineral sunscreen uses zinc oxide only, no oxybenzone. The ingredient concern disappears entirely with the mineral version. Named after Hawaii. Banned ingredient in Hawaii. The fragrance was real. The safety was not. The next brand positions itself as the professional aspirational choice for skincare-educated women. It contains hormone-disrupting filters above EU safety limits and charges a premium for them. Avoid brand 8, Supergoop. It is the sunscreen that made SPF feel aspirational. The pastel packaging. The clever product names. The brand that convinced a generation of skincare-educated women that daily sunscreen was the single most important thing they could do for their skin. Supergoop made sun protection cool. Supergoop launched in 2007, founded by Holly Thagard after a friend's skin cancer diagnosis. The founding story is genuine. The mission to build a daily SPF habit is important. The brand built a devoted community of ingredient-aware women who trusted Supergoop because it felt like the thoughtful choice. Supergoop's flagship, Unseen Sunscreen. SPF 40 contains octosalate, homosalate, and octocrylene. All 3 are among the chemical filters the FDA found absorbed into the bloodstream above safety thresholds. EWG has rated Unseen Sunscreen as a product of concern. Homosalate has been flagged by the EU Scientific Committee as a potential endocrine disruptor. The EU recommended a maximum concentration of 1.4%. The US allows up to 15%. Supergoop uses it above the EU limit. Looks like the skincare-educated woman's thoughtful daily choice. Reads like homosalate above EU safety limits, and 3 chemical filters flagged in FDA bloodstream absorption studies. Supergoop was acquired by private equity firm L. Catterton in 2021. The founding mission and the current ownership structure are 2 different things. For the skincare-educated woman who chose Supergoop, because the brand felt like it had done the responsible formulation work, this is what you actually bought. Chemical filters in your bloodstream above FDA safety thresholds. Every single day. Supergoop Mineral Sheer Screen. SPF 30 uses zinc oxide only. No chemical filters. The most cosmetically elegant mineral sunscreen on this list and the one product this investigation recommends. Daily SPF mission. Hormone-disrupting filters inside. The habit was right, the formula was not. The next brand is the one your dermatologist keeps in their office. The clinical positioning and the ingredient inside it tell 2 different stories. Avoid brand 9. Elta MD. It is the sunscreen in the white clinical tube that your dermatologist keeps on their desk. Elta MD crossed the line between cosmetic and medical. Women do not discover it at Target, they get it prescribed. That is the positioning. That is the trust. Elta MD built its credibility entirely inside the dermatology office. The brand supplies sunscreen to practices across the United States. The white packaging, the clinical nomenclature, the fact that you had to seek it out rather than stumble across it all, reinforced the sense that this was a different category entirely. Elta MD UV Clear, SPF 46, contains octinoxate as an active ingredient. The FDA's own 2020 study found octinoxate absorbed into the bloodstream at levels 16 times above the agency's proposed safety threshold after a single application. 16 times. In 2025, the EU finalized its opinion, classifying octinoxate as an endocrine active substance. Elta MD UV Clear remains on sale in the US, with octinoxate in the formula. Looks like the clinical gold standard your dermatologist personally vetted. Reads like octinoxate, absorbed at 16 times the FDA safety threshold and classified as an endocrine active substance by the EU. LTMD is owned by Colgate-Palmolive. The dermatology office positioning and the consumer goods conglomerate ownership are two different things. For the woman who sought out LTMD because a dermatologist office product felt like the most responsible decision she could make, this is what you actually bought. Octinoxate, 16 times above the FDA bloodstream threshold. In the clinical tube, LTMD UV Physical SPF 41 uses zinc oxide and titanium dioxide only. No octinoxate. The one LTMD product that actually earns the clinical credibility the brand markets across its entire range. Clinical positioning, endocrine active ingredient inside. The dermatology office was real. The safety claim was not. The next brand made mineral sunscreen feel luxurious. The formula underneath the elegant packaging tells a more complicated story. Avoid brand 10, Coola. It is the sunscreen in the pretty tube at the Sephora checkout. Coola turned mineral sun protection into a luxury skincare moment. The farm-to-face positioning, the organic claims, the elegant applicators, and the premium price point. Coola made SPF feel like aspirational self-care. Coola launched in 2010 with a specific premise: clean ingredients, organic where possible, and a luxury sensory experience that made daily SPF feel like a pleasure. Women who had graduated from Drugstore sunscreen and were not ready for a thick white mineral paste found Coola and felt like they had finally found the answer. Coola's best-selling Mineral Sun Silk Creme SPF 30 contains zinc oxide and titanium dioxide as its active ingredients, which passes the mineral filter test. However, the formula contains undisclosed fragrance listed as parfum. Multiple Coola products have received EWG hazard scores of 3 to 5, placing them in the moderate concern range. EWG's 2025 sunscreen guide noted that more than 1 in 3 sunscreens list undisclosed fragrance, and that for daily users, those exposures accumulate significantly. Looks like the clean organic luxury mineral sunscreen that finally solved the formula problem. Reads like undisclosed fragrance in a daily use product and moderate EWG hazard. Scores across the range. Coola products retail at $35 to $48 per bottle. The premium price signals premium safety. The EWG scores and the fragrance disclosure do not support that signal. For the woman who paid Sephora prices for Coola, because organic and clean on the label felt like proof every concern was eliminated, this is what you actually bought. Undisclosed fragrance. Moderate EWG hazard scores. At $45 a bottle, Coola Classic Body SPF 50 Mineral Lotion in the fragrance-free formula is the cleanest option in their range. Zinc oxide only, no parfum, organic branding, undisclosed fragrance inside. The luxury experience was real, the clean claim was not. Go check your bathroom shelf right now. If any of these 10 brands are in your cabinet, you now know exactly what is inside them. Okay, stop for a second. You just sat through 10 sunscreen brands, 3 benzene recalls, 2 class action settlements totaling over $4 million, chemical filters the FDA found in human blood above safety thresholds after a single application, an ingredient banned in Hawaii, sold by the brand named after Hawaii, a clinical dermatology brand with an ingredient absorbed at 16 times the FDA safety threshold, and a luxury organic brand with undisclosed fragrance in a daily use product. Here is the playbook underneath all of it. Step 1. A brand builds trust through heritage, dermatologist partnerships, or lifestyle positioning. Step 2. The marketing claims scale up. Step 3. The regulatory system allows chemical filters with no mandatory pre-market safety testing for systemic absorption. Step 4. An independent lab, a class action, or the FDA's own research surfaces what the label never mentioned. Step 5. No recall, no reformulation. Still on the shelf. That is not 10 separate stories. That is one story told 10 times. 3 brands removed the chemistry entirely. Safe pick 1. ThinkSport SPF 50+. Where others sell chemical filter protection absorbed into the bloodstream above FDA safety thresholds, This sells 20% non-nano zinc oxide as the sole active ingredient with EWG verified status and a track record dating back to being the first sunscreen in history to pass Whole Foods premium body care requirements. Founded by Kevin Escamilla and Troy Donahue with a specific thesis: clean performance products for athletes that do not compromise on ingredient safety. EWG verified, non-nano zinc, oxide only, water resistant to 80 minutes, no oxybenzone, no homosalate, no chemical filters of any kind. The active ingredient list is one item long: zinc oxide. That is it. White cast is real, particularly on deeper skin tones. Requires more blending time than chemical sunscreens. Around $12 to $16 for a 6-ounce bottle. Available at REI, Target, Whole Foods, and thinkbabysunscreen.com. If you have been looking for a sunscreen that does exactly what it says on the label without anything the label does not mention, this is it. The next brand has been making mineral sunscreen since before most of the brands on the avoid list started using benzene. Safe Pick 2, Badger Sport. Mineral sunscreen SPF 40. Where others sell mineral sunscreen with lengthy ingredient decks and synthetic preservatives, this sells 4 ingredients: 22.5% non-nano zinc oxide, organic sunflower oil, organic beeswax, and vitamin E. Nothing else. Badger has been making mineral sunscreen since 1995. The brand is a certified B Corporation based in New Hampshire with a fully disclosed supply chain and a certified living wage commitment to all employees. EWG rating of 1, the top score in the annual sunscreen guide. USDA Organic Certified. Leaping Bunny Certified Cruelty-Free. Water resistant to 80 minutes. Read the full ingredient list in 5 seconds and understand every single word on it. Contains beeswax, so it is not vegan. The formula is thick and leaves a white cast, not cosmetically elegant. Around $14 to $18. Available at Whole Foods, REI, Amazon, and badgerbalm.com. The next brand is the pick for sensitive, reactive, and eczema-prone skin. Safe Pick 3, Babo Botanicals Sheer Zinc SPF 30. Where others sell gentle sunscreen with chemical filters absorbed into the bloodstream, this sells 20% non-nano zinc oxide with colloidal oatmeal and calendula, EWG verified. Formulated for skin that reacts to nearly everything else. Founded with a focus on clean, family-safe personal care with full ingredient transparency. EWG verified, vegan and cruelty-free. Free of the top allergens including dairy, soy, and gluten. The oat and calendula base provides anti-inflammatory support alongside sun protection. SkinSafe rates it suitable for the most reactive skin types. SPF 30 is lower than the others. For extended outdoor time, reapply every 90 minutes rather than 2 hours. Around $14 to $18 for 5 ounces. Available at Target, Whole Foods, Ulta, and babobotanicals.com. You just sat through 10 brands. 3 benzene recalls. Johnson & Johnson settled for $1.75 million. Coppertone settled for $2.3 million. California filed a legal action against Sunbum for misleading reef-safe claims. LTMD contained an ingredient absorbed at 16 times the FDA bloodstream threshold, classified as endocrine active by the EU. The FDA published its own safety data in 2020. Congress set a deadline for action, and the FDA missed it. The brands kept selling. It is not a mistake, it is the model. Tomorrow morning, walk into your bathroom. Pick up your sunscreen. Read the active ingredients. If you see oxybenzone, homosalate, octinoxate, octisalate, octocrylene, or avobenzone, you are holding a chemical filter the FDA found in human blood above its own proposed safety threshold after a single application. Tell me in the comments which sunscreen brand you have been using the longest and whether you knew any of this before today. If someone you know is still applying a recalled brand every morning because their dermatologist recommended it years ago and nothing has changed since, send this to them. The system is not broken. It is working exactly the way it was built to work. You were never supposed to read the active ingredient list. Stay sharp. Read those labels, keep rising.